Yeah, because what happens every time we record is I always end up with wet elbows and forearms.
You're good. Paper and I don't matter. Right?
That
Keeping
sounds weird to say.
Smithsonian.
That's how we're starting today.
All right, slap sync in 3, 2. Here we are once again, ladies and gentlemen, on a wonderful day to talk movies. What day is not a great day to talk movies? And I'm here, of course, as always, with my partner Mike. Mike, say hi to the people.
What's up, fam? What's good?
I am Mulley, and we are once again here with a top 10 list. Today's list was an idea that I came up with that was inspired by the news that 2 unrelated film franchises were possibly going to be mashed together to make one just kind of combo movie. So that got me thinking, what other movie franchises, should we maybe mash up? So this is the top 10 movie franchises that should become a mashup, according to me and Mike. And we're doing this one for the people. When we do one for ourselves, that means we come up with 10 choices each. When we do one for the people, it's only 5 choices each, combining me and Mike's 5 choices to make a top 10 list together. So we'll each have 5 movie franchises. Well, actually, probably 5 movies apiece that are a mishmash, a combining of 2 different franchises. So 10 franchises in total each. And that's where we're getting our top 10 list for today. So, Mike, in coming up with this, when I threw you this idea, you pretty instantly said yes to it. What kind of sparked inside of you that this was a good list to do?
It was just easy. I mean, for real. It was. I've talked about this a few times on older episodes or even episodes you guys haven't heard yet. Sometimes I struggle with the last 7, 8, 9, 10 of the full list. So for me, doing the 5 is a nice change of pace because it's easier to come up with. It's less pressure. But then also, like I said, I did this one last night at 2 a.m. and I got my 5 knocked. I got the first 4, no problem. And then the 5th one, I thought about for a little bit, but then it came to me. Real quick, though, it appears that I made a comment on a friend's post. He's a food review, Facebook food review person. And shout out to Petty Eddie's Eats. It's a great page to follow on Facebook. But it seems like I've pissed off some people who live in Alabama. So I made a joke about, be careful out there because my boy is black and it's Alabama. And I was alluding to sundown towns, and it was in jest. But of course, there's always some truth in every joke. But I didn't know it was going to be this whirlwind, it's like World War III on that post going on right now. And I made my comment 6 days ago, and people are still in there at me on my comment, calling me ignorant, and I'm the racist one. And
what does this have to do with the
nothing?
list?
It's just I want to say while we're recording, if there's anyone in Alabama listening to our podcast, I did not mean to disrespect your beautiful state of Alabama.
Lord. Oh Lord!
And go Texas.
Well, the tangents have started early, ladies and gentlemen, on this one. I think that's a record for the podcast.
No, but my boy Petty Eddie's happy because of my one comment that's triggered this snowball effect. His comment's going viral because of me.
Is there any chance he hears this on the show?
Oh yeah, I'll shout him out. So I'll tell him to check it out for sure.
All right, so I thought this would be really down your avenue a bit too, because you're much more of a fan of horror than I am, as we've established on the show before. So the idea of a movie like Freddy versus Jason, where you take 2 different iconic horror icons and pit them against each other, is not a new idea in the horror genre. So I figured you'd have a couple of those up your sleeve, and some other movies that we can throw into the pot of this. This has happened before, and there's a precedent for it. Godzilla and King Kong, for example. Godzilla and Kong, that's a franchise that's currently going on. We're combining 2 really old school monster franchises. I mentioned Freddy versus Jason. Even combining genres like Cowboys versus Aliens, that movie that came out a few years ago with Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford. That's a mishmash of genres. Transformers, at the end of the latest Transformers movie, there was a hint there could be a tie-in with G.I. Joe.
Whoa, no spoiler alerts. Gotcha.
All right. Well, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. Then this is a very light spoiler for that. It's a very mild tie-in, but there could be a future Transformers G.I. Joe movie in the works, and I believe that's been in the comic books before. It might even be in the cartoons. I'm not really sure. But the latest rumor, it's not even a new necessarily rumor, but that 21 Jump Street and Men in Black were going to potentially have been talked about as a mashup, which I kind of want to see. I think both franchises, they kind of need a jump spark, and this might be the thing to do that. That's one of the big things about this list for me is that some of these franchises have, they've struggled and are almost not even heard of anymore. And maybe by mashing up with another franchise that's in similar straits, they can actually revive both of them. That could be a possibility. So I've talked too much to start this podcast, so I'm going to let you start, Mike. What's your first of your movie franchise mashups?
So I want to say my list, these aren't movies I actually want to see. I just think they'd be cool. It'd be cool if they did it. That's it.
So if it came out that because of this podcast and because of your choices, an executive hears this and that sparks the idea that you will not go see that movie if it does.
I'm not saying I wouldn't see it. Listen, I'm not really a big fan of mashups. Even the ones you listed, I didn't really care about. Like Freddy vs. Jason was an abomination to me. But I have a very real hatred for Freddy in terms of the horror genre because he's on everyone's top 2 list, and for me it's Michael Myers. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The whole Kong vs. Godzilla thing, it's cool, but let's do something different. And then the whole spoiler that you gave away about Transformers and G.I. Joe, that was cool, but most people that saw that movie probably don't even understand what that means.
Right. It was a business card.
Yeah.
So
if they make any of these off the list, I'm going to watch, but I'm not sitting here saying, man, if they don't, my life won't be complete.
Right, you're not pining for it.
Yeah, not at all. Gotcha. This is almost like wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Anytime wish fulfillment's in play, you're probably not going to get what you want.
Let me hear it.
So, to start off, for me, I'm going X-Men and Push.
Ooh, okay.
X-Men, the much more popular commercialized version.
About to be rebooted, probably pretty heavy.
And then Push is like the indie version of X-Men. Basically.
One movie.
Yeah.
With Chris Evans.
With Chris Evans and
from Marvel.
Well, but yeah. The Fox version.
Two different characters.
Which is dead.
2 different characters of Marvel. Well, he did the Fox version, right? Was for Fantastic Four. Is that the Fox version?
Yeah, but that's all dead.
And but he's Captain America too. That's MCU straight up. Spoilers.
Oh no, that was 4 years ago.
Spoilers.
If you don't know about Captain America by now, then speaking of Captain America, another quick side tangent. The trailer looked really good. I watched it again for Captain America 4.
The
New World Order.
Yes.
Yeah, looks legit. I'm excited. I'm not a big Anthony Mackie as a leading man fan, but
I am.
Maybe this movie will make me change my mind. I can't talk today.
The Peacock show that he was on, was it Heavy Metal? About the cars.
Oh, you're talking about Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, the video game. I liked him in it. So I'm convinced.
Okay. So yeah, no, this X-Men Push, the only reason this even exists on my list is because it's a more commercialized version versus a more indie version. But the fact that in Push, if anyone's familiar, there was an organization called Division where they're hunting down other people with powers. But some of the people at the highest levels of the organization also have powers, so they're working with humans. Whereas in X-Men, if you're familiar with Charles Xavier and Magneto, they're on opposite ends of the spectrum in that regard. Magneto hates the humans. He wants to eradicate them. Mutants are top of the food chain. They're the survivors. So I'd like to see him and Charles team up and try to take out the Vision. Obviously, they'd have different motives. Charles Xavier would want to take the Vision down because they're looking for other mutants to just kill him. Whereas Magneto has more of a personal vendetta because he looks at the mutants working with humans as traitors to their kind. So they would team up, and then you have Chris Evans from Push come in and kind of be like the intermediary to kind of basically calm Magneto down, but work with them reluctantly to take the Vision down.
Okay, all right. So I almost wanted to say like X-Men are the top tier mutants, but the push would be more like the indie film part, like the more unknown, and you kind of mend the two.
Right.
The two. Okay, cool. I didn't think about those two. That's a nice start. So I approached my franchise mashup list a little bit differently. I not only came up with the two franchises that I wanted to mesh together, or mash together in this case, I also came up with a movie title and a log line for that movie. So you get kind of an idea of what that movie mashup would be and why I think it connects. And for this one, I think this one's pretty strong. The first couple are pretty strong for me. My two franchises that I want to mash up are the James Bond franchise, just gone forever, and it's gone as far as just lengthwise, it's gone forever, and then Jason Bourne. So I want James Bond meets Jason Bourne. Those two franchises meshed together. The name of the movie, just go ahead and imagine this on the marquee, is James Bond Born Again, but you spell Born as Jason Bourne. So James Bond Born Again, that's the title of this movie. Here's the log line. An aging James Bond encounters Jason Bourne during a high-stakes mission. What other kind of missions are there? Culminating in Bond's tragic death and Bourne's reluctant acceptance to take up the 007 mantle, blending their legacies in a thrilling saga of espionage and redemption. So in this particular case, look, first of all, I'm tired of all these English actors coming over and taking American jobs. Time for an American actor to go over and take an English job. So for an American to be James Bond would be great.
I just want to say that is a very American statement you just made. Let's go somewhere else and take over. That's what we always do anyway, right?
No, all the hottest actors are from Canada. In America, it seems like all the best ones, all like the most popular ones, are from Australia. They're from Canada. They're from England.
You can't fault them for being better actors.
But they all have great American accents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're able to play American so well.
Because we're simple. It's easy to mimic us.
Well, now I want an American actor to go over there and take James Bond. I think that would be great.
It's not the American Motion Picture Association. It's just the Motion Picture Association.
I know.
Everybody's welcome.
But traditionally, this has always been a British. Right. This is a British icon. So for an American to play a British icon, I just think it's like just desserts for them always playing our icons.
I mean, you basically just created your own conundrum right there because MI6 is British. So you're going to take an American CIA agent who's gone rogue, Jason Bourne's rogue, and you're going to make him an MI6 agent with no accent. He's not going to he's going to lose the suave smoothness.
Yeah.
That's all out the window now.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, you're right. Still like the idea. And you know, I've considered a lot of different melds for both of these franchises. I considered the Hitman franchise. I considered another one that's also on the list, I believe, so I don't want to mention that. I considered some other ones, but Bond and Bourne, and then that title really sparked for me James Bond Born Again, because it's, you know, literally it's Bourne taking Bond's spot, even if it's just a one-off. Like he has to impersonate Bond to get through the rest of the movie, but it's just a temporary taking of the mantle to complete the mission. That could be as much as a Bond that he ever plays.
So what's the name of the title?
James Bond Born Again.
Okay, what if it was, I mean, this is your thing, so I mean, you can tell me to, knock it off, but
okay.
007,
yeah.
Born Again.
I'm down with it.
Okay.
I'm down with it. But for me, it was just getting that Bond and Bourne in the same title.
Oh, you want the names of both in there. Okay.
Yeah, but see, they don't, I mean, I don't think any of the Bond movies ever say Bond in the title, right? But this specific one, because it's two melding of franchises, I thought you couldn't just call it Octopussy and then just know that it's going to be the melding, a mashup. You know, Godzilla and Kong is that title for a reason, because they're melding those two things that you love to make one giant movie. So
they never made, like, they could have made like a bootleg version called Bonded Out, like he got bonded out of jail.
Yeah, Triple X movie there I'll be talking about too.
Bailman Bonded Out. Moving on.
Maxine. All right. So that was my first one. Born in Bond. And I like that movie idea. I like that, especially like the title, Born Again. It just because it fits right in what the movie is about. Born becoming Bond, even if it's just for the movie.
Well, before I get to my second one, I wish you had told me about the log line because I definitely would have done that for mine.
Oh yeah, it was something that came up with late. Well, you came up with.
I was up late, so
I could have just texted you and told you.
But okay, that's cool. I like that. You had the title and the log line. Okay, next one for me definitely could be like a sequel to your to your first one.
Okay.
Because I did Taken and the Equalizer.
Taken was one. Yes, that's a good mix.
And I picked those two specifically because you have Brian, the character from Taken, played by Liam Neeson, and Robert McCall, played by Denzel in The Equalizer. They're both the lone wolf type. And
they're both the same age, probably.
Probably.
They feel like fear.
But Denzel, I feel like, can do more believable physicality now than Liam Neeson can now.
Oh, maybe.
But if we're just taking Liam Neeson from when he was doing Taken, and
take him in the prime,
and put them both together in a movie, I think it would work well because, like I said, they're both lone wolves in a way, and they both overcome insurmountable odds to get the job done. They can both find anybody, find out any information they need about the perpetrators they're after. They save the girl. They vanquish the evil in the movie, so to speak, and then they go back to living their everyday normal life until the next time. So I think it's straightforward. I mean, if you watch Taken, you watch Equalizer, any of them, these guys, they probably wouldn't be the best of friends, but I think if you called both of them to get this mission accomplished, they could come together, formulate a plan, figure it out.
They have similar skill sets, and if they didn't do it already in Equalizer 2, I would have probably put them two as army buddies or military buddies prior to their separation.
Over Pedro Pascal?
Well, like if that hadn't been done, if they had done a whole completely different storyline in 2, where it wasn't about his past team, then Liam and him being past teammates on some kind of covert team together would have made a lot of sense. And then they're coming back together because maybe something in their past comes back up and they have to both tackle it together.
Maybe a guy they thought they killed isn't really dead.
And they have very similar skill sets. Like, it just seems like they have this mystical government training skill set that not a lot of people have.
Both really good hand-to-hand in close quarters, like you said. And actually, I mean, to speak to your list, Jason Bourne's also really good hand-to-hand.
Really good, yeah.
So that's...
If you can see it through the shaky cam, but yeah.
Yeah. I've watched some of those more recently. It's not as bad as people say.
Yeah, it got really bad in Quantum of Solace. I think somebody took that to the next level in that opening car chase. It's just so you can't tell what's happening. That's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm a huge fan of Jason Bourne. It's one of the rare ones where it's possible that the second one is better than the first. Bourne Supremacy.
I wouldn't say it's possible. I would say it's 100% fact.
Yeah, I feel the same about Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2. I kind of feel that same, but that doesn't diminish to me how good number one is, the Bourne Identity movie. I get started it, so it gets gravitas that none others can have,
right?
Because it started it. But yeah, it's rare for that second one to be good or maybe even better, and that's one of the cases there. Nice. All right, I like it. I'm kind of jazzed about this one. First of all, my next one here on my list, I wasn't initially thinking this would work because the two fan bases of these two franchises, they typically hate each other. They don't like each other. But I could see a world where they're both so down that they need each other to kind of rise back up again. So, all right, hang on to your butts for this one. Star Trek meets Star Wars.
I'm going to throw it. Heavily throw it. But continue. Go ahead.
Star Trek meets Star Wars. And I think I had the first instinct you did. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Okay. So, the name of the movie is Star Trek, A Galaxy Far, Far Away. And I didn't think these two things would mesh as well as they did when I started diving into it. First of all, correct me if I'm wrong, Star Wars, it even says at the beginning, in a galaxy far, far away. It never says anything about Earth. Never says anything about Earth or anything. It's always on worlds that are in a distant galaxy. We never even seen anything close to anything in our solar system as opposed to Star Trek, where everything starts at Earth, and that's where the Starfleet headquarters is, and that's where they started expanding. Well, that fits perfectly into why these two franchises have never met. They're so separated by galaxies, but the core tenet of Star Trek is to seek out new worlds and new life and new civilizations, right? To boldly go where no man has gone before.
You are such a Star Trek nerd. It's crazy.
I'm both. I love both of these franchises, and I got enough room in me for both. I don't have an issue with either one. But bringing them together, it's like oil and water to most people. But I think it meshes perfectly because Star Trek, their own mission is to go find new galaxies, find new worlds. Well, in this particular film, Starfleet, and I'm going to read the log line, but as Starfleet embarks on their continuing mission to explore the known universe, they venture into a new galaxy oppressed by a tyrannical regime known as the Empire. So they're introduced to the Empire because they are starting to breach the galaxy where the Empire has stretched out. When they come to the aid of a beleaguered planet, Starfleet, or the Star Trek end of it, find themselves entangled in a galactic war, joined by a dwindling group of mysterious rebels known as the Jedi. So you enter in this world from the Star Trek angle of it, and they are breaching the Star Wars galaxy on the edge of space, on the edge of the Empire, and the Empire has taken over so much there are only a handful of Jedi left. Whether this is in the future or the far past, I don't know where it lands in the Jedi part of it. You could put it anywhere. But to think that Star Wars could potentially have a hand in creating, flip that Star Trek could have a hand in creating Star Wars, it's kind of wild, trippy. Like in their early ancestry, right? Or way into the future, one of the two, that the two franchises can combine because they meet when the Trekkies are getting out far enough to discover that, they discover new civilizations and new empires all the time. This is just another one that they discover. It ties directly into Star Wars. I think there's a connection there, and there's a fun movie to be had where, there's one Star Trek. Let's say the Enterprise is out there, and they are, helping, as they always do, these people that are in need, or this planet that's in need. And there's a handful of, there's a one particular Jedi that's there, and maybe he's the last one or something. Who knows? And then they have to defend that person along with the Star Trek people against the Empire group that's there. And so I think there's a story to be had there. But I think my real excitement for me is what I found a way in. I think I just found a way in. That what Trek does in exploration ties in with what Star Wars does through finding that exploration. So
what scares me about guys like you
let me have it.
If you were to ever hit the lottery, this is the exact movie you're going to make. That's what scares me about guys like you.
I don't think I'd make it.
I expect you to have more creative vision than this.
Well, this is our movie mashup, so this is not original creative vision.
So like I said in the beginning,
this is remixing at best.
Wish fulfillment usually
remixing at best.
Yeah, but wish fulfillment can become reality when people like you hit the lottery.
That sounds like a bad thing. You're saying it's a bad thing. More movies out there, the better. Whether you watch it or not, that's up to you. But at least you have the choice. It's better. You'd rather have 200 cable channels than 3. And we had 3 channels for a long time.
I'm gonna bite my tongue on that comment, but okay.
But you can still watch those 3 channels. I'm pretty sure those 3 channels are still around. You don't ever have to switch to the 200. But why not let there be 200?
Speaking of 200
channels,
I need you to tell me or explain.
You're on to something today. No,
I just
something's up today.
I just turned 44 yesterday.
Oh, well, happy birthday!
Thank you. And I kind of been just in some deep reflective mode.
Oh Lord!
And usually that means I'm going to come up with a list of things that annoy me or I don't like. So I'm already entering the early stages.
Your mindset was something different.
Grumpy man syndrome starts early for me.
Dude, okay, all right.
But before we continue, because you just talked about the 200 channels.
Yeah.
Explain to me why if you have cable with your cable provider, right?
Yeah.
And you've got 200 channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he even list 30 of those channels that you can actually go to, but you can't watch anything on them because it says, oh, this isn't for your area? Then why do we even give those to me in my list of choices? Just to show me what I can't have.
Right, because dangling the carrot may actually make you purchase those channels.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only, and plus it's probably embedded in the software already, so they don't want to have to give you a new, a new cable box or a new equipment. If all they got to do is flick a switch in Omaha to get you unlock those channels for you, the fact they're already there and built in, they're just blocked, and it's a simple switch for them to flick or a button for them to push, to unlock that for you. Then that's so much easier than, oh, you want these 30 new channels that you didn't have in your first one? We're going to send a cable man out there to bring you a brand new box. It's going to be inconvenient because they can only come between 8 and 5. So you're going to have to take lunch off or take the day off to come out because you need 30 extra channels. They can just flip a switch.
Everything at its core is designed to disrupt anti-conformity. Let that sink in. You guys don't think about it. We'll move on. Hey, I'm on one today, like you said.
Woo, boy, you started this one hot, dude. With that Alabama comment, you started hot on this, man. We are on a side mission today, folks. This ain't going for the gold on this one. We on a side mission, buddy. We're going to what is that? Not Waffle House. Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. We are on our trip to White Castle, folks, on this one.
I definitely go for some White Castle. I'm not gonna lie at all.
I could too. It actually sounds good.
Anyway, so Star Trek, Star Wars. That was yours.
Didn't know how it would combine. I think it combines pretty well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next one for me is it's 3 movies.
Ooh, the rare triple play.
Yeah, it is. This is Blade, Underworld, and Twilight.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just trying to get my head around it.
Okay, so Twilight, I have a real deep hatred for because they fooled me. First of all,
how they fool you?
I didn't know about the YA novel. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know this was geared towards that younger demographic of 12 to 17-year-old girls. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Watching the initial trailer, it looked just like, vampires versus werewolves, which I'm all in for.
That's you to a T.
Yeah, but then I get in there and it's just a love story.
Yeah,
Hated it. And there's glistening vampires. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we put Twilight in the middle of the mashup. Then we bring in Wesley Snipes as Blade, whose specialty is to kill vampires.
You want to kill all these Twilight people.
Exactly. I want a complete annihilation of the franchise. This is going to be a trilogy. And then we get Celine, played by the beautiful Kate Beckinsale from Underworld, to come in and kill the werewolves. So Blade gets the vampires in the movie, and Celine gets the werewolves from the franchise. We eradicate all.
You eradicate Twilight off the planet completely.
Forever. That's it.
Well, for how vendetta latent that feels, I think people would actually go see that.
I think they would.
I think that would be a very popular movie.
My only concern now is if they were somehow able to coax Robert Pattinson to come back, he would want to actually help Blade destroy the vampire.
Yeah. I think
he hates that franchise.
I think he doesn't like it himself, so he'd be down. I think he'd do it just to get rid of it.
Now here's the twist, because in the Twilight franchise, it's about Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart's characters, right? If we could somehow get him to come back and her, because I think the next movie she does, she cheats on Robert Pattinson with the director. So that way,
oh Lord,
Robert Pattinson can kill Kristen Stewart in the movie. He personally gets to do it.
And kind of purge himself
yes.
from some of those. So it's not only a vindictive from you just hate the movie, but also you want Robert Pattinson to kill all of his past demons.
Yes.
And move forward in his glorious acting delight.
That's it. And also, somebody dig up Taylor Lautner, because we don't know where Taylor Lautner is.
That's true.
No one's seen him in at least a decade. So
yeah, I hope that dude's okay.
Actually, I do too. Shout out to Taylor Lautner.
There we go. All right, man. That was, dude. We are halfway to White Castle for sure. We're on that side tangent, folks, and hang on, because it's only going to get worse from here. Mission Impossible and Fast and the Furious.
Ooh.
I had to think of something. I was like, okay, it's so ridiculous. Fast and Furious is so ridiculous. We got to do something to save this franchise that I really did like. And there are movies that I really do like. I am the rare guy that you'll ever meet that actually likes Too Fast, Too Furious, the John Singleton movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Rest
I
in
like
peace.
that movie. And not a lot of people do. I like Tokyo Drift. I think it's fine. And the first one was really the first Fast and Furious movie was good. A bit dated now, but good. And then we started taking off and going to space and attacking submarines and doing some crazy stuff and working for shadow agencies and
People you think are dead or continue to
Mr.
come back.
Nobody and Kurt Russell and Charlize Theron. It's gotten in some wild places. We need to figure out a way to solve it. Mission Impossible's been around for just as long, or maybe even longer, seemingly right side by side all the time. Two totally different movies, but both have a similar adrenaline pace to both. So if we could somehow, if Mission Impossible ever gets to a point where it just really needs it, we could combine Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible for the movie Mission Impossible Turbocharged. Thank you very much.
That's Walmart bin material right there.
Log line is Ethan Hawke must find and recruit.
It's Ethan Hunt.
Ethan Hunt.
Ethan
sorry.
Hawke is the actor.
Ethan Hunt. I apologize. Ethan Hawke. No. Ethan Hawke is the new Ethan Hunt.
Oh, this movie's not good at all.
Must find and recruit a fearless racing crew led by Dominic Toretto to help him and his IMF team accomplish their latest world-saving mission. One that can only be completed while on the move with endless enemies in their way. So I imagine a movie where you got to get to Rabbit's Foot, but in order to accomplish whatever this Rabbit's Foot is, or getting it, or turning it off, or defusing it, whatever it is, it's on the move. It's mobile. Mm-hmm. So that's why you need the Fast and Furious crew to help you out.
I guess.
And you just have, and it's just action all day, every day, every craziness that both sides have ever done, combined in one. I just struggled really to find something to team with Fast and Furious.
Which means you should have just left it off the list altogether.
I probably should have, but it was just such a big franchise. And excuse me.
Was that your main mission? Was to just put big franchises together for this list?
No, I mean, I think more of was like part of it, yeah, but also like I think the Fast and Furious franchise has gone downhill, and if there was some way to mesh it with something else to help it come back again a little bit, I wanted to kind of bring it back in a little bit, but I don't know. Like I said, this one's a risky one. I just Mission Impossible. It has this. I feel the same. Mission Impossible is smarter, obviously, way smarter, and I even think I have more fun with the Mission Impossible movies. And Tom Cruise is a bona fide superstar, whereas Vin Diesel, whatever. And, The Rock has come in to try to... Jason Statham's come in for Fast and Furious. The Rock's trying to come in. And then it's only been Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible. Just everybody else surrounds him. But maybe at some point, both franchises are going to need a little help up, especially if Mission Impossible loses Tom Cruise. There was a moment in the Mission Impossible where it seemed like they wanted to replace Tom Cruise with Jeremy Renner. It seemed like there was a time.
No, that was the Jason Bourne franchise.
Right, but then Renner came in.
Yeah.
In Ghost Protocol, and he seemed like a bad fit.
So if you want to try to pretend like you're going to replace the star of the franchise, put Jeremy Renner in. That's going to work every time.
Well, I think at the same time Jeremy Renner was coming off that Bomb movie, and was just the hottest thing. Yeah, it was the hottest thing going in Hollywood at the time. So they put him in they put him in these two. And it was definitely in the Bourne thing. It was definitely more of a replacement thing. I think they wanted to see how fans reacted to him being in that Mission Impossible as a possible something.
I mean, to me, he didn't fit. He just didn't fit.
I didn't think both of them together, especially at the time. Like I can watch it now, and he fits perfect because he's just a side character. Mm-hmm. At the time when it came out, he was kind of the next leading guy. So to put him and Tom together was either a handing off of the torch or a big mismatch because you had two of them in there.
Well, that was 2012, so you had the Avengers, so you still had more for him to do in the MCU. Yeah. So that was.
But what he did for the MCU wasn't that great.
He's the strongest Avenger though, because he survived that accident.
Well,
He's the strongest Avenger for real.
Renner, he just it was a side note in that Mission Impossible.
You know what his problem is, which isn't really a problem to me, but I say this in regards to this franchise.
Yeah.
He's an actor. Tom Cruise is a superstar. We talk about this often. Like Tom Cruise can act too, and that's how he got his career. Really was more acting. He's done a few things where he shows off his acting prowess, but he's more the superstar. Jeremy Renner is the actual actor. Anything else I've seen him in, it's more indie, low budget, but he knocks it out of the park every other time where it's not massive explosions going on. When he can be the star of the show and really show off like what he's made of from an actor standpoint, he's amazing. So that's why I don't think he fits. If you're a real actor, you can't jump into a franchise like Mission Impossible because to me, you talk about oil and water. That's oil and water for sure.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know if this is one of the ones that are, and I think these are. If you thought the James Bond, Jason Bourne, Star Trek, Star Wars way out there, it's only getting more crazy. I think from here on, but yeah, I thought about maybe Bad Boys would be one that would tie in better with Fast and Furious. Because if you've ever seen Bad Boys 2, there's a certain Fast and Furious element to that movie because of just all the car stuff that's in there. So that might be something to tie in too. But yeah, ultimately, just the pacing of both movies, both being long-running franchises, and at some point they're both going to run out of steam. I think Fast and Furious has already done that. Mission Impossible, as soon as Tom Cruise leaves, I imagine it's going to do that. Then maybe they get to a point where you miss something like these two up. But what's your next?
Well, I don't know how you do it, man, but what you just said is a perfect segue into the next one on my list.
What I do, baby.
Which is Bad Boys and Lethal Weapon.
That's good team up. Oh, yes.
That might be my most favorite on the list. Again, if we were to rank top number one, that would be number one for me on this list. And if you think about it, they're both really similar anyway. Lethal Weapon pretty much is the template for a movie like Bad Boys, which happens 6-7 years after the first Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon spawned 4 movies in the franchise. Supposedly Mel Gibson just recently said at a panel that he's going to direct the 5th one.
No, I'm down.
Yeah, Shane Black apparently, or not Shane, Shane Black asked him, hey, if I pull this script together, will you be a part of it? And if I'm not going to be around, will you take up the mantle and direct it? And first, Mel Gibson was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But he, I guess, had mulled it over and decided he's going to direct it as well as star it. And so, so that's going to continue on. Bad Boys is now
so much older now.
It recently gave us the 4th entry in the franchise. And so you have Riggs and Murtaugh, and you have Mike and Marcus. You could, all the different combinations of pairings, you could put the alphas together in some of the scenes. Like you could put Riggs and Mike together, and then you could put Murtaugh and Marcus together, because they're the ones that are like, my partners are insane, they're crazy. So you have the high octane. The action goes from 10 to 12 if you mash these two together, and then the comedic elements with Murtaugh and Marcus goes from 10 to 12 as well.
Yeah.
Because you have so many more opportunities. The field is open to be so much more broad and wider now to implement all these other little things from each franchise and just mash them together. And I would watch 1 4-hour movie of this.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite so far too. I love that idea. Man, that's really good. Yeah, I thought of Lethal Weapon. I was like, we put Bad Boys makes so much sense.
And there's only one director that could do this. It's Michael Bay. It's Michael Bay. I don't know where he's been, what's going on, but for him to jump back in the saddle, let's go. Give me a Shane Black written script, and then Michael Bay directing. It's the perfect blend.
The 360 shot of all 4 of them together. Yeah.
So you already put it together. Look at you. You're already directing the movie.
So easy.
That's what I'm saying.
So easy. All right. I love it. Okay, so my next one is going to be Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 11 versus The Italian Job.
Ooh, okay. All right,
so this is the name of the movie would be Ocean's 11, The Italian Job.
Okay, so that's just putting them two together, basically.
But no, because Ocean's 11, they're doing a job in Italy, so they're calling it The Italian Job, but it's also a reference to the other franchise.
How about the Oceans in Italy? No, I got it. Italian Oceans.
Italian
It
Oceans.
sounds like a beverage you get at the bar.
All right, here. Let me give you my log line. Danny Ocean assembles his team of con artists and thieves to pull off a daring heist to steal stolen gold in Rome. However, when the infamous Charlie Crocker and his crew are forced to target the same loot, both groups must improvise their schemes while engaging in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, all while evading the relentless pursuit of the authorities. So the idea is that this is a heist that takes place in Italy, that one group, the Ocean's 11 crew, for whatever reasons they have, they're putting together a heist in Italy, in Rome, for some stolen gold. But the Italian job crew is being forced to do the same thing. They're being forced to. So they don't want to do it, but there's some kind of outside forces are forcing them to do it. And together with the Ocean's 11 crew, they're both cat and mousing it throughout Italy. One takes it away from the other one. But underlying it all, I want there to be kind of an element of maybe there's some gamesmanship happening where these two crews worked out something before all of this mayhem took place.
Can I add something into this?
It's free to do
Okay.
it. We're in the writing room right now.
Because you already have
We're in the writing room.
Jason Statham from the Italian Job. What if the person that's got these two groups to go after the gold is the same person, and it's Idris Elba from Hobbs and Shaw? Now you get to bring in The Rock. And with that, you get to bring in Vin Diesel and his crew.
Oh,
now you have
boy.
the Fast and the Furious, Italian Job, and Ocean's 11.
Wow.
See what I did there?
Dude.
The way this thing up here works
That's
is
going.
crazy. I don't even understand. I
Okay,
don't know.
I was already pushing it with 11. Ocean's 11, then combine, and then you bring Mark Wahlberg and Seth Green and his group back
Yep.
together.
Yep.
Like I'm dealing with a huge ensemble cast. And some of the Ocean's 11 have passed away. I know that two of them at least, Bernie Mac and
Bernie Mac,
then the older
Rob Reiner.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Carl Reiner.
It is Carl. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, mishmashing of 4 different franchises. Ocean's 11 is an Italian Job, and then Mike tied in Fast and Furious and Hobbs and Shaw.
You know what we should have done? Now that I'm thinking about this, we should have done a 6 Degrees of Separation mashup.
6 degrees of
Six
see
degrees.
how long it takes to get
So here's how you would do it, because we got a little extra time. You do what you just did for your 2, and I added in the Fast and the Furious. And then I brought in also Hobbs and Shaw. So that's also The Rock, and that's Idris Elba.
And then by bringing them in, you bring in the Fast and Furious crew, which brings in Vin Diesel,
Mm-hmm.
who was Triple X, the secret
see.
agent. So then now we bring in the Triple X franchise, and then Samuel L. Jackson is in the Triple X franchise. So then we bring in the Avengers.
That's going to be a little too far fetched.
You could bring in John Travolta from Pulp Fiction.
Which brings in Christian Slater from Broken Arrow.
John Travolta, that's right. And Morgan Freeman's in that movie. So you bring in Lucy.
That's Hard Rain. That's Hard Rain.
Hard Rain.
But let's go that route instead. So
Okay. That's right. And then Hard Rain, and then Morgan Freeman's also in Lucy. So Scarlett Johansson
is in it.
as a kind of a 100% brain robot computer person.
See, look at that. We did. That was 6 movies right there. Boom.
And then she's in Avengers.
You would have put Avengers in a way too bad, bro.
Because there's so many people that are in Avengers. That's
Yeah.
the only reason. All right, what's your last one?
Last one for me.
Top 10 movie mashups. Franchise movie mashups.
Again, this is to piggyback off of you. Listeners, we did not plan this. I promise. This is Ocean's 11.
I think they know that as
I
well.
would hope so. This is Ocean's 11 and The Hangover.
Whoa.
Both take place in Vegas,
They
so
do.
the setting's already there.
Certainly a reason to celebrate after their heist.
Exactly. And then maybe they have a situation. They have the adjoining room to the Hangover crew.
They're trying to get a heist done.
Yeah. So
but they're having to deal with this crazy.
the opening of the movie is the
Tiger
end
next door.
of, we'll say, Ocean's 13. The ending of that one ties in more to the Hangover.
Good Lord, I don't remember Ocean's 13.
Yeah, that's the Al Pacino where they take down his casino. So the opening of this movie is the ending of Ocean's 13, and then to celebrate, they say, "Hey, we got a penthouse suite in at the Caesars, right?" And it just happens to be adjoined next to the Hangover crew. So the next we fade to black, wake up the next morning. The way the Hangover crew wakes up in that one scene, we then cut over to the adjoining suite with Ocean's 11 and his crew. And you've got guys that are way too old to be hungover, and Saul and
Is it a comedy caper?
It is. So then the caper actually becomes more of, okay, now we've lost the money. The Hangover crew lost Doug. The Ocean's crew misplaced the money.
Doug has with the money.
Doug has the money. See,
Doug's
look
with
at
the
that.
money.
That was amazing.
He was on the roof the entire time.
It was all on the roof the
And
whole
the
time.
money flew off.
Yep,
Wow.
that's it, man. And look, and because remember when they finally figure out Doug's on the roof, they look up and the mattress has been impaled by one of the whatever it's hanging on the side of the Caesars. I think it's
Sign?
yeah, the money's in the mattress.
Oh. Okay, all right, yeah.
See, I did this on the fly, man. I'm telling you, this thing up here, man, it does what it wants to do.
I don't know. All right, last one for me of top 10 movie franchise mashups. I try to find something to tie in with John Wick. I was like, you got to find something to tie. There's plenty. This is where I did think about Hitman. I did think about Jason Bourne. I did think about James Bond. But this one movie seems to tie in better than both, and that's Nobody. So Nobody is the Bob Odenkirk film that had a very similar feel to John Wick. But the way that it ties in perfectly is that in John Wick 4, the latest John Wick, there is actually a character that's called Mr. Nobody. He's the tracker in the movie. He's the one with the dog. Remember the guy with the dog? And he's a bounty hunter. And, John Wick spares his life in that movie. So my idea was to be a movie title that's called John Wick 5, Nobody Does It Better. Nobody.
Oh, gosh.
That's a play on words to a James Bond movie. But yeah, Nobody Does It Better. When John Wick seeks out Mr. Nobody, the bounty hunter he spared, he unexpectedly crosses paths with Hutch Mansell, a different Nobody. So Nobody from the Nobody film. After a brief but intense showdown, the two forge an alliance to take down a common enemy, merging their formidable skills, as a duo of a lifetime. So you're just taking there's a Mr. Nobody already in the John Wick franchise. John Wick needs the tracking abilities, presumably. And in trying to find Mr. Nobody, he finds the wrong Nobody, and it's the Nobody, Bob Odenkirk's character from the Nobody film.
Okay, now I never saw Nobody. I'm familiar with the bus singers in the trailer.
Right.
Does that character ever use a gun?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, he does? Okay.
But the most pivotal scene is he's just hand to hand in a bus. And that's the most iconic scene in the movie. But there's a huge gun battle at the end. I mean, you need to watch it. It's good. It's a good one.
Okay.
I think you'd like, if you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, this is a nice. It's not John Wick, but it is very John Wick adjacent. Like it is a similar. Maybe just remember when Matrix came out with the Matrix anime. It was called the Animatrix.
I got that DVD at the crib.
It feels like an Animatrix to a John Wick to a Wick thing. So Wicca-Matrix or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, Wicca-Matrix. I like that.
It's just like a parallel universe or something. What would be kind of a John Wick?
That was your mashup right there. John Wick and the Matrix. It's the same person.
It is.
It
yeah,
writes itself.
There's too much. He's
Okay.
Neo. He's John Wick.
Well,
Who is he?
there's already been like fan fiction
I'm putting those
theories that's Neo plugged in the Matrix is John Wick. But yeah.
Get it.
Some of this stuff just writes itself, man.
It does. And then some of the stuff I had to write myself, so to try to make it work. But again, I think your Bad Boys Lethal Weapon was the best one of the list. I really like that. I was surprised by my two. I didn't think Star Trek and Star Wars could mash, but I think I found a way to make that do that. And the James Bond and James Bourne thing, I think is kind of my favorite of my list.
I think that's my favorite on your list is the James Bond, Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
For sure.
Born Again. James Bond, Born Again. It just
Born Again,
works.
man.
And I was envisioning an older Bond. I was really envisioning a Sean Connery because Sean Connery did, an older Bond kind of movie. And then I think it's called Enchantment. Is that the one with Catherine Zeta?
Oh, Entrapment.
Entrapment. That's right. He kind of plays. He's kind of a Bond character in that a little bit. Hey, let's face it. Anytime that he's kind of a, actually the one that I was thinking of, the one where he's with Nick Cage, The Rock. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
He is like a Bond character. He's like an old Bond.
There's a lot of people online who just
That's the
in
one.
their mind they're like, that's just retired
Yes.
James Bond.
So that's the character that you want. But with a young Jason Bourne, Matt Damon's too old to play that now. But if it was the young, it was the young Matt Damon that started the whole franchise off with the Jason Bourne. I think seeing him as the underling, or taking up the mantle for a bit, be kind of cool.
I just want to say, if that movie is to get made, if there's like a Hollywood producer that's got some money to fund this project, please make Timothy Dalton James Bond so he can die, because I hate him.
Dude, my friend who is a James Bond fanatic.
Which, by the way, we've actually discussed this on another episode.
Yeah.
I
He
remember.
loved Timothy Dalton's his favorite Bond. And you know what? As an older Bond, that might work in this.
And he gets killed early. I'm talking about the first.
He dies in the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
in my pitch, he dies in the movie.
That's-
You
that's
get
the
what
hook.
you want.
Yep.
My friend gets what he wants. I get my movie made. We're all good. Everybody's happy.
My list is full
except
of
for the
people
fans.
dying.
We're gonna have to watch it.
I get a lot of people dying in my lists.
Yeah.
A lot. Bella dies. And
You got a lot of older people in your list too. I mean, there's an old Liam Neeson. There's an old
Denzel.
Denzel Washington. There's a Lethal Weapon guys who've got to be in. They're both in their 70s.
True.
Like I'm surprised you didn't have Dirty Harry and.
I mean, he's done so many. Like, you could just do a Clint Eastwood mashup. He could just be Dirty Harry in all of the movies he's ever done.
Yeah, that's true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to, once again, the Top 10 Movie Podcast. We are actually out and released and out in the world. As of right now, we have our first 4 episodes out. And, or is it 3 episodes and an intro? I can't remember.
Honestly, I can't either. Once you submit it and get posted, I kind of move on to the next one.
Well, yeah, that's how we work. We just produce the content, we put it out there, and we hope an audience finds it. Somebody's out there listening to it. But see, that's the great thing about these podcasts, Mike, that no matter how many we put out, however long, somebody at some point is going to find it, maybe, and somebody's going to enjoy it. We really hope that happens. And a lot of these aren't necessarily time-centric, so you could be listening to this 10 years from now and still probably get a kick out of some of these two guys talking about older movies.
And this will actually be the first episode that gets released, quote unquote, on time.
Huh?
Because I did mention my
What?
birthday yesterday, and this one will actually be out on Wednesday the 24th. This will be out.
You're putting it out. Oh, you're putting out the release date now. Oh,
Well,
Lord.
for this one. Hey, but you know what the whole goal is to set the bar. And when you reach the bar, you set it again higher.
I just thought we were having fun. Let's do
Well, we're doing
bars.
that. Well,
No
Hey,
bars.
setting the bar is fun.
All right.
Doesn't mean we'll always reach the mark, but
Well, let me tie this show up into a nice little bow tie. How we do that every time is we let Mike intro us out, or outro us out.
Yep.
Outro us out. Is that right?
Outro us out, man.
Outro us out, man.
Hey, that needs to be something we stick with. Just outro it out.
All right. Let's see if we does
It's
stay.
my new thing. Now today, just tip your servers 20% minimum. 18 and 15, we did that a long time ago. These people got bills to pay just like y'all do. And always remember, as always, speed up on yellow. And Mike and Mulley are out.
See ya.